Good afternoon. This podcast is the second of a series that specifically addresses the DFSA SEO letters that are published from time to time. Today, we have a detailed look into the SEO letter related to DFSA's assessment of private banking business models. The Dubai Financial Services Authority, DFSA, conducted risk assessments on private banking business models to ensure compliance with the General, Gen, Conduct of Business, COB, and Anti-Money Laundering, AML, modules of the DFSA rulebook. Here are some key findings. Finding 1, Firms Governance Arrangements, Gen April 2, 11, 5.2, 5.3.2, 5.3.3. Issues identified. Lack of clarity on roles, responsibilities, and reporting lines of senior management. Senior executive officer did not have the required level of responsibility for key business functions. Overlapping responsibilities among key individuals and functions, and confusion in accountability and decision-making due to dual reporting lines at the firm and group level. Action required. Firms should conduct internal reviews and ensure the adequacy of governance arrangements, including roles, responsibilities, and reporting lines, to align with the nature, scale, and complexity of business activities. Finding 2, Resourcing of Compliance Function, Gen 5.3.7, 5.3.9. A major issue identified was the inadequate resourcing level and capacity of the compliance function. Action required. Review and ensure the adequacy of compliance resources to meet the nature and extent of the firm's business, including business growth, and strengthen compliance functions by increasing staff resources if necessary. Finding 3, Compliance with Suitability Requirements, COB 3.4. Issues identified. Generic and insufficiently detailed suitability assessments and lack of documented rationale for product recommendations. Action required. Review and enhance suitability frameworks to comply with DFSA rule requirements, particularly COB 3.4, and address any deficiencies as a priority. Finding 4, Client Classification Processes and Procedures, COB 2. Issues identified. Inadequate assessments of clients' knowledge and experience. Lack of supporting rationale and verifiable information for client classification, and action required. Review and ensure client classification processes and procedures align with DFSA rule requirements, notably COB Chapter 2, and address any deficiencies as a priority. Finding 5, Outsourcing and Reliance on Head Office/other group entities, Gen May 3, 21. Issues identified. Failure to consider DIFC and DFSA requirements in policies and procedures and inadequate understanding of functions performed by group entities. Action required. Review oversight arrangements of outsourced functions or activities to head office/group entities and ensure compliance with DFSA rule requirements. Finding 6, Handling of Staff-Related Misconduct, Gen May 3, 18 and 19. Issues identified. Inadequate background checks or due diligence during recruitment. Delays or failures in taking appropriate action concerning employee misconduct and action required. Review systems and controls relating to staff, including HR disciplinary processes and training programs, to ensure staff are appropriately trained and misconduct is addressed in a timely manner. Finding 7, Assessing Business AML Risks, AML 5.1. Key points. Lack of clear business risk assessment and scoring methodology. Exclusion of inherent risk, control effectiveness, or residual risk ratings. Generic and insufficiently detailed BARAs. Absence of quantitative data to support conclusions. Omission of certain inherent risk factors, such as new technologies, new products, and delivery channels. Lack of detailed assessment of targeted financial sanctions, including proliferation financing. Failure to consider outcomes of the UAE National Risk Assessment, NRA. Action required. Firms must identify and assess money laundering, terrorist financing, and proliferation financing risks according to the nature, size, and complexity of their activities, as mandated in Chapter 5 of the AML module. Finding 8, Assessing Customer AML Risks, AML 6.1. Key points. Inadequate or unclear customer risk assessment, CRA, scoring methodology. Omission of key risk factors, such as nature of business, product/services risk, and source of wealth jurisdictions and unexplained amendments in customer risk ratings during ongoing reviews. Action required. Establish an adequate customer risk assessment framework that meets applicable DFSA rule requirements, including AML 6.1.1. Finding 9. AML Systems and Controls, AML 5.2. Key points. AML policies and procedures were not customized to the firm's business activities and processes. Over-reliance on group sanctions procedures without detailed local operational procedures and insufficient management information and metrics covering key AML processes, affecting local senior management oversight. Action required. Establish and maintain effective AML policies, procedures, systems, and controls tailored to the nature, scale, and complexity of business activities. Finding 10. Enhanced customer due diligence, AML 7.4. Key points. Deficiencies in corroboration of source of funds, SOF, and source of wealth, SOW, for high-risk clients. Inadequate SOW journey narratives and lack of supporting evidence or documents. Over-reliance on benchmarking or inappropriate application of benchmarking. Action required. Implement robust enhanced due diligence, EDD, procedures with appropriate corroboration steps to ensure compliance by employees responsible for customer due diligence and approving high-risk client files. Finding 11. Ongoing customer due diligence, AML 7.6. Key points. Failure to conduct periodic reviews in accordance with established cycles for standard risk clients, with significant backlogs. Incomplete and outdated KYC documents in client files and sporadic review comments and lack of meaningful challenge from compliance/AML teams, rendering control mechanisms ineffective. Action required. Implement effective procedures, systems, controls, and monitoring mechanisms to ensure ongoing customer due diligence is conducted effectively and in a timely manner in accordance with DFSA rules. Finding 12. Suspicious activity reports, AML 13.2/13.3. Key points. A 74% increase in internal notifications reported to the MLRO from the previous year. A 35% increase in suspicious activity reports, SARs, from the private banking sector. Instances where SARs lacked detailed context and key information, such as account balances, assets under management, source of wealth, and other connected accounts, and weak SAR reporting procedures could lead to breaches of both federal AML legislation and DFSA-administered legislation. Action required. Relevant persons must establish and maintain robust policies, procedures, systems, and controls to monitor and detect suspicious activity or transactions. This includes ensuring detailed and comprehensive reporting to the Financial Intelligence Unit, FIU. Finding 13. Outsourcing, AML 8.2. Key points. Firms, especially those that are branches or subsidiaries, lacked clearly defined service level agreements, SLAs, with group entities. Absence of clearly defined roles, responsibilities, quality standards, and reporting mechanisms for internally outsourced AML processes and lack of evidence for MLRO and local senior management oversight of these outsourced processes. Action required. Firms must ensure there is a clearly documented and binding agreement with any outsourced service providers. This agreement should include detailed service standards and ensure compliance with AML 8.2.1, maintaining responsibility for all outsourced CDD elements. Finding 14. AML Training and Awareness, AML 12.1. Key points. Inadequate staff training on targeted financial sanctions risks within the overall AML training program. Training materials were often high-level and missed key aspects, such as UAE legislation, circulars, and guidance issued by the Executive Office for Control and Non-Proliferation and absence of specialized and tailored training for frontline and support staff involved in client onboarding and ongoing due diligence processes. Action required. Implement a comprehensive AML training and awareness program tailored to the firm's specific activities, customer base, distribution channels, business partners, and the complexity of its products, services, and transactions. This includes detailed training on targeted financial sanctions risks, relevant UAE legislation, and practical examples. To summarize, the DFSA has highlighted key areas of concern and suggested remediation measures for the same. Get in touch with us should you require assistance on making your compliance and AML processes better, or guidance on better corporate governance within regulated firms. That is all for today. Have a great day ahead.